And relationships are so important, not just professionally, but just personally. I mean, at the end of the day, that's this life. A big part of it is about relationships. To have a high quality life, you don't want to do it all by yourself.
Yeah. What are some examples that you could share of how Red Hill Ventures has created a transformative impact on a community or an individual?
Yeah, well, we really enjoy the projects that we do, partly because when we look at the project sort of as it's progressed along, we can see that it's something that the broader community is better off for. And we have a number of projects that sort of are in that vein. We've done projects in Maryland. We bought a medical center, Garwin Medical Center in Baltimore, which was the first African-American owned medical center in Baltimore. And it was founded by a group of African-American physicians, I think back in the 60s. And it sort of thrived and then fell into a bit of disrepair as some of those physicians moved on. And we acquired it now as, this one of our first big projects. We acquired it and repositioned it, made a few improvements, put in new tenants, and it began to thrive again. And it felt great, at that phase of the career. I was there all the time, and that always felt great just to see it come back to life and see people go to the doctor in the building. You knew that you had some small role in it. Another example is here in Charlotte, Easttown Market is a project that we're pretty proud of. When we acquired it, it wasn't in the best condition, and now we've brought it along, and now it's a big economic component of East Charlotte, which we're excited about.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Can you walk us through some of the challenges that you faced whenever you first started?
Well, the challenges I faced had a lot to do with being new, just not knowing, not having capital, not having resources. So I started out as small as you possibly could in this industry. I mean, my first project was a 1-bedroom condo in Houston that I bought and fixed up and wound up selling. And then I bought a 2-unit, then a 4-unit, then a 10-unit, and that was sort of my journey. So along that journey, I was the property manager. I was the maintenance tech. I was the entire company.
You were doing it all.
I was doing it all. So, the part of the, real estate is capital intensive. And so when you lack capital, clearly you have to wind up doing all those things. But also it impedes your growth. And I feel fortunate that was my journey, because I appreciate all aspects of the business now. I sort of get to love what I do because I had a hand in creating so much of it. But sort of lack of capital does impede scale, which was one of my challenges early on, which is why we try to help with some of the minority-owned businesses, because oftentimes that's one of their challenges as well. And, we try to play a small role in that when we can.
Was that something that initially frightened you to get into it? Or were you just like, I'm going to do it and it's going to work out?
At Juliant, we're with you at every milestone. And your brightest dreams never have to fade. At Juliant, we help you shine. That's brighter banking. Juliant Federal Credit Union.
I said, I'm going to do it. It's going to work out. When I started, I was fortunate in that, I didn't have a lot to lose. I had a career, I had a job, but, I wasn't married. I didn't have children. So I said, if worse comes to worse, I'll just go get another job. And so fortunately, that has not been the case.
Yeah.
But so it was a bit simpler for me because I didn't have some of the risks that, and, people that sort of need your support that you do if you start later on.
Yeah. And I mean, having support like that, especially later on, you have to establish relationships with others. How do you progress from sharing a connection to someone to establishing a relationship? Because I could have a connection with somebody, but it's not like I could reach out to him and be like, hey, like,
That's right.
What are you thinking about this?
Yeah. You know, I found the best relationships that I've established. Oftentimes, there's something that is creating some level of connectivity between the two of you guys. Like, if I call you and say, hey, let's have coffee, and I don't know you.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, why are we having coffee? Why are we doing this? And then what are we doing after this? I mean, you have those sort of questions. The best connections are, I would say, Elvis, you know, I'm really interested in learning about podcasts. I would love it. I've seen your podcasts. They're really good. I love to learn how you got into it.
Yeah.
And that creates at least the foundation for a relationship. I try not to call people. Typically answer my calls because when I call them, there's a reason. Like I'm not just calling for nothing. There's something
you're adding value
involved.
Or something. Yeah.
That's right. And hopefully they'll be better off because of the call.
Yeah.
And that's a good foundation for a relationship. And then as you progress, you just become friends. And then you get a chance to have dinner or lunch or just talk. But you do need some level of foundation.
Yeah. And I'm trying to work on that. Just I feel like I'm at the beginning stages of all of it because I'm trying to build relationships and it's hard and it takes time.
Yeah.
And you don't really realize how much it takes time once you're going through it.
Yeah.
So hopefully in a year or two I'll be a little.
Well, it's a journey. And relationships are so important, not just professionally, but just personally. I mean, at the end of the day, this life is a big part of it is about relationships. Just to have a high quality life, you don't want to do it all by yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think if you go into it with that mind, like it can't be just one directional. You're not always taking from someone. Hopefully it's a mutual exchange. But if you're intentional about it, you'll have plenty of great relationships very soon.
And I mean, when you have relationships, a lot of times you add value to someone, you influence them.
Yeah.
Could you share a strategy or approach that you found effective in adding value to others?
to others.
Mm-hmm.
Well, oh man, there's so many. It depends on where you are in your life. And when I was first coming along, I mean, I was probably taking a lot more than I was getting from some of the folks that I would consider mentors or people that really exposed me to broader opportunities. And maybe people were so kind to spend some time with me. And I always appreciated it. And so that's sort of one phase of it. And now I'm somewhat on the other phase, which is I'm sitting in their shoes where people call. I just left a lunch where, a USCC student asked to grab lunch to talk about his real estate career aspirations. And I'm happy to do that because I remember when I was sitting in his shoes and I was just trying to figure out how do I have this career? How do I make this work?
Yeah.
Like, and you don't know. I mean, I didn't know. You don't necessarily know. And so you're trying to find people that may have doing a little bit of what you might want to do. And so, on that other side, I'm doing it because I just genuinely want better for that person. Mm-hmm. So it depends on what side of the fence you're on. I mean, people are happy. Most people are excited to play a role in someone's success.
Mm-hmm. So you had mentors when you...
I did have mentors, not necessarily really formal mentors, but people that were kind enough to spend time with me and sort of expose me to their work or knowledge. And so, I had a broker. When I lived in DC, I had a broker. He passed away. His name was Stuart Sharp. He was just a old school commercial real estate broker. And he helped me get into 2 or 3 early deals and helped me figure out how to finance deals and how to make them work. I mean, I went to college, got an MBA and all sorts of things. But frankly, some of the things I learned from Stuart were as important as anything I ever learned in formal education.
That's how I feel when I started real estate. It's like a lot of this, I mean, some of it you can learn in school, but some things you just have to go through. You can't really learn.
Learn by doing the work. I've learned the most by doing the work.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to bringing you one more engaging conversation. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.